So I do have to think a little bit today about, like, I'm not, you know, teaching you guys how to drive the excavator. I'm trying to teach you guys how to teach other people to drive the excavator, essentially. Some people, they know exactly what to do. Other folks, like, they've never driven a tractor before. But that is the thing. These rental companies will let anyone rent these things, and they're not that intimidating. They're not that hard to use. Now, you do need to be safe and smart. I would say the number one safety feature is the seatbelt. They have a seatbelt for a reason, and you should use it, especially when you're operating on slopes. It is important to be very careful and keep the seatbelt on.
Always be aware of where everybody is. Because, if someone's standing behind you and you just reverse, this thing will kill someone in a second.
Yeah.
Also tell everyone else, like, you guys be aware of what I'm doing on the excavator, and don't walk near me unless I have eye contact with you and I'm aware of you.
And really, this is the indicator that it's safe to approach the excavator. When this bar is up, this is like a safety. So when this bar is up, none of this stuff works, even if the engine's running. I can't drive forward or backwards. As soon as this thing's down, it's locked and loaded, and I can move around. And when you get to somebody's farm, I stand far enough away that if this arm was stretched all the way out, they can't hit me. Even if someone says they're an experienced operator, like, they can still hit you with the bucket or run over your foot or any other number of things. But I mean, really, it's like a good 15, 20 feet distance that you should stay away. When this thing's revved up and you have the arm all the way out, it can spin around pretty fast. Now, the blade in the front, there's always a second joystick here. You have your two joysticks here, but there's a third one, and this is the blade on the front. And the blade's really important when we get into safety and working on slopes. That is like your stabilizing blade. You can use it for doing like some grading and pushing dirt around. But it's not necessarily the best piece of equipment for it. It's definitely another use for this equipment. But for the main thing that's doing is it's keeping you from maybe rolling backwards when you're driving up a hill. So I keep that blade downhill and pretty low to the ground. And that way, if I was to tilt, I'm going to land on that blade instead of potentially rolling further. The other thing the blade can do is it's a fulcrum for when you're digging. So if you're trying to like rip up a tree or invasive species maybe, you're trying to pick up a rock or something, instead of leaning forward, when you have that blade down, it's like a fulcrum. So it gives you some leverage and actually more power to like tear through some stuff like that. So this one has an 18-inch bucket. You can, also get different size buckets. A lot of times, to make it a better investment for the farmer, they can get multiple buckets dropped off. Like if we wanted to install an irrigation line, I would ask for a trenching bucket. There'd be like 12 inches. I'm a big fan of an 18-inch bucket. I think it makes a really nice swale. If I go bucket width and bucket depth, I really like the shape and size of my swale. It has pretty good water holding capacity. And more importantly, I'm building a really nice berm, really nice raised bed for the trees. So 18 inches is really good. If I'm doing like a silvopasture system, especially for someone who has like cattle or like a really large flock of sheep, and they want a lot of grass, they want a lot of space in between their rows, then like definitely go for the 24-inch, 32-inch bucket. And we'll have some big old gnarly swales that are like kind of going to suck to plant because you got to like really lean in there, climb up a little bit. But you're going to have a really nice permanent landscape feature too. So it's a nice trade-off. For food forest and close together lines, I definitely like the 18-inch bucket it's my preference. And the best investment for a farmer is to keep an excavator for a week. The price for 2 days is the same as a week typically. So if you're going to do 1,000 trees, you're probably going to need it for 2 days. So if they rent it for a week, now they can also fix their fence line, pull the tree up that fell into their pasture, build a fire pit, build a well house, dig a foundation for their illegal tiny home, dig a hole to put all their composting toilet stuff in. Whatever it is, like they're gonna find uses for it. You don't need to own one. These things are expensive to maintain. If this thing has a problem today, The homies at General Rental will be here in like probably like 45 minutes, maybe quicker. And they're gonna come out here and fix everything for us. So using this on slopes, you know, if it's above a 25% slope, you're not gonna operate an excavator on it. It's definitely not on contour. You might be able to go up and down that hill, but you're not going side to side. So it's a good thing to talk about. You don't want to show up at someone's property and then find out that like, hey, you can only really dig by your septic tank and by your creek. That's definitely a thing that I say a lot. If you can drive a pickup truck across the hill, then you should be fine with an excavator. And you can see here where I stopped these lines, that's not a lot steeper than the other parts of the field. But that was where I decided that I wasn't getting paid to be here. I'm volunteering, and my life is not worth me rolling down this mountain. Yeah, and definitely use technology so you can get pictures from people. People can take a screenshot of Google Maps on their phone and circle the area that they want to work in. Like there's tons of ways to communicate with people, like where they want to work and how they want to work. You can also go onto GIS and, you know, look at a contour map and you can measure the distance. And if there are 20-foot contour intervals and there's 4 20-foot contour lines in 100 feet, you can do the rise over run math and be like, wow, that's way too steep for me to operate an excavator there. When I'm driving up a steep hill or something, I always try to keep this blade downhill. The way that you're gonna most likely crash or flip this thing over would be rolling downhill. So if I keep that blade downhill and not like all the way up, like somewhat in a halfway down position, then if I kind of tilt, I'll just land on the blade and I should be fine. I can just pick myself back up by lowering the blade. So if I drive down this hill, I'm gonna drive down backwards with my bucket outstretched and uphill. I always wear ear protection. I'll listen to music while I'm doing this, but I'll put ear protection on. When you're teaching people though, don't give someone the earmuffs their first time getting on the excavator because you want them to be able to hear you. Have it in a slow throttle and be able to hear and be aware of what's going on around you. Once you're on the excavator for 8 hours in a day, that's the time when you need to be protecting your hearing for that long-term exposure to the sound. All right, guys, let's get up there.